Okay, be forewarned, I might lose my temper a little bit or a lot bit in this video. The third question from the Indivisible call this week was, why did Senator Cory Booker do his 25-hour filibuster and start taking a stronger stand against the Trump regime just to turn around and vote to confirm Trump's nominee to be ambassador to China? This is maddening for me, y'all. It's maddening. There is not a second that passes where we can trust Democrats to do the right thing. We must constantly be vigilant and constantly hold their feet to the fire. I think it's because they're in this political bubble that so many of the establishment Dems, they don't quite get it yet. The American people need a united party of no, a united party against fascism. Do the Democrats not understand that every time they vote for a Trump policy or they vote to confirm a Trump nominee, they are giving Trump the chance to say, I have bipartisan support for the shit that I'm doing? Okay, before I lose my temper even more, and before I tell you what Ezra had to say about this, let me explain the context if you're not aware. I'm going to be referencing a piece from the Politico from April 29th entitled "Senate Confirms David Perdue as Trump's Ambassador to China." You know, election denier David Perdue. Let me preface this article by reminding y'all that every Democratic senator voted to confirm Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio, who now said that he has no problem exiling American citizens. The fascist disaster that is Marco Rubio, who will continually debase himself and do whatever Trump wants. Every Democratic senator voted to confirm him. Do you know why? It was out of respect for his position as a former senator. It was considered a courtesy to their former colleague. Now, I know at least one of my senators, and I'm pretty sure both of them, but I just want to be careful that I'm not putting words in their mouths. I know at least Jeff Merkley has said that he regrets that vote. And by the way, Jeff and Ron have not voted for a single confirmation since that one. I think establishment senators really are having a hard time wrapping their little brains around the fact that their colleagues in the GOP in the Senate are actual fascists. They want to have this like across the aisle, let's all be reasonable with each other. Let's extend professional courtesies to each other. Let's scratch each other's backs. That mentality is still going on right now today. And how do we know that? Because 16 Democrats voted to confirm this dude to be the ambassador to China. Trump is flouting the ruling of the Supreme Court. He is exiling American citizens. He is openly defying the Constitution and the rule of law. There should not be a single Democrat that is voting for anything that he wants. And yet 16 senators. Okay, David Perdue, election denier and former U.S. senator, has been confirmed as the new U.S. ambassador to China. Let's keep in mind that Republicans have control of the Senate. They don't need a single Democratic vote. And, you know, they've always got John Fetterman's vote. So they'll get at least one Senate Democrat to vote with them every time. But they don't need any votes from any Democrats. So why are Democrats freely giving? Why are they willing to go down in the history books as saying, sure, I voted for things that Trump wanted. I voted for what the fascist wanted. Perdue is a longtime Trump supporter. He was a Republican senator from Georgia from 2015 to 2021. He was CEO of Dollar General and a top executive at Sara Lee and Reebok. Oh, look, it's CEOs. It is those super wealthy that are meddling in our politics, that are controlling our politics. The exact kind of status quo oligarchy and corporate corruption that we need out of our politics, that we need out of our government. Perdue's pitch to the Senate was that he believes that Beijing is waging a new kind of war against the U.S. and that China poses a threat, quote, to the current world order. As if Trump doesn't? As if Trump just destroyed our status in the world order. Trump did that. China didn't do that. Trump did that single-handedly, well, with the backing of Russia. What world order is it that you want, David Perdue? One with Russia at the top and us, subservient to her? Subservient to Putin? Trump started this trade war with China. China didn't start that. So our new ambassador to China wrote a 3,000-word essay he published in the Washington Examiner, asserting that China aims to destroy capitalism and democracy. Wow, that's rich. That's rich coming from a longtime Trump supporter and election denier. Barack Obama's former ambassador to China, Max Baucus, said that Perdue was more likely to break through if he shows respect for China and encourages China to show respect for the United States. This, like, we're going to be at war with each other, is not a good tactic. Perdue doesn't know anything about engaging in diplomacy with China at all. He's just another Trump sycophant. And because he is a former senator, we saw Democratic senators roll out the professional courtesy and vote for him. According to the New Republic, the full list of Democrats who voted yes for this confirmation are Cory Booker of New Jersey, Chris Coons of Delaware, Tammy Duckworth of Illinois, John Fetterman of Pennsylvania, Ruben Gallego of Arizona, not surprising, Maggie Hassan of New Hampshire, Tim Kaine of Virginia, Andy Kim of New Jersey, Angus King of Maine, he's an independent but he caucuses with the Democrats, Amy Klobuchar of Minnesota, Gary Peters of Michigan, Jack Reed of Rhode Island, Jackie Rosen of Nevada, Jean Shaheen of New Hampshire, not surprising, Alyssa Slotkin of Michigan, also not surprising, and Mark Warner of Virginia. If any of those folks is your senator, I highly encourage you to call right now and call again next week. Call several times next week and let them know what you think of their choice to support the Trump regime. It is humiliating to see that there is no unified coalition amongst the Democrats that is willing to stand up to Trump. I will also point out this is a great time to call your senators, your Democratic senators, and remind them that Chuck Schumer cannot whip Democrats in the Senate to save his life. He needs to go. What kind of leader in the Senate cannot get his own party members to vote as a bloc? Especially when that vote is just like a no against fascism. That's all we need them to do, is be a united front standing against fascism. Nothing that Trump wants to get done right now should be allowed to go through. It's not that hard of an assignment, y'all. And Leah said this, we need to keep building our muscle as constituents that we can flex in front of the senators and say, you better fucking hold the line. Okay, Leah said it much more gently. She said, we've got to encourage Democrats to see the light and then keep putting it into practice. I would say hold their feet to the fire and say, you have one job. You have one job, and that is to obstruct what the Trump regime is doing, to stand up for democracy and obstruct what he's doing. I wholeheartedly agree with what Leah said next. We cannot assume that Democrats in Congress will do the right action every time. We have to keep their feet to the fire and demand consistent opposition. We must call them every time they fuck up. We must call them every time they fail us. Yes, we must celebrate when they do well, but we must hold them accountable when they refuse to be the party of no. Ezra had a slightly more positive outlook than me. He said, let's celebrate where we are now. Dems, back in January, were the party of roll over and play dead. And that's a direct quote from octogenarian strategist James Carville. He said Democrats should roll over and play dead and provide no opposition. That was the official party position in January. The Dems should not take up space. They should just sit by and benefit from the eventual backlash that would come against Trump. Remember, Carville is the one who said that this regime wouldn't last 30 days and that nobody had to do anything, that he would bury himself. I don't know why anybody is listening to James Carville. I'm tired, actually, of seeing pundits continue to interview him. Stop it. This roll over and play dead philosophy is why you saw every Senate Democrat vote for Marco Rubio, why Schumer caved on the continuing resolution, why Democrats voted for the Laken Riley Act. But what we saw during the February recess was hundreds of town halls. We saw a massive show of 5+ million people on April 5th, and again, more than 4 million people on April 19th. And that broke through to a lot of Democrats. Ezra said they're not all getting it yet, and they're not all getting it perfectly, but we are seeing more and more Democrats understand that we want them to fight back. He referenced Governor Jamie Pritzker's speech decrying the do-nothing Democrats and demanding action. Ezra said the do-nothing Democrats are on the way out, and we need to function like that is the reality. Ezra said our electeds can be reasonable. It is reasonable to demand that Democrats will not vote for Trump's nominees. It is reasonable to demand that our senators put a hold on every vote for every nominee. Why are Democrats failing this reasonable and easy assignment? Trump is defying multiple court orders. He's breaking the law over and over again. No Democrat should give him any support. If we're really in a constitutional crisis, like Democrats are now finally willing to admit, they cannot in good conscience vote for anything that Trump wants. And we need to remind them of that. We need to be putting the pressure on them. We need to remember that we are in charge. And unfortunately, we cannot let the pressure off of our Democratic elected officials even for a second.